Hello and namaste. My name is Tim Halloran and this is a weekly astrological forecast, this being for the 4th week of May 2014, and today is Sunday the 18th. The Sun is moving into the Taurus-Gemini cusp. On Wednesday he will officially enter Gemini. The Moon's in Capricorn, tomorrow moving into Aquarius, Wednesday into Pisces, Friday into Aries. And right now we have Mars being completely stationary in the early degrees of Libra, and tomorrow he will officially turn direct, making this week a very surreal and interesting week of energy shifting, of a standstill in between cycles, as we sort of tie together the loose ends from the previous cycle and we begin to slowly but surely move into a new phase of being. And indeed, this is a very opportune time to sort of slow down, recollect, and reflect. And perhaps as a symbolic unconscious gesture of this, yesterday I came out here and shot the video. I went home, edited it, everything seemed fine, everything seemed accurate, and then, as I was ready to upload it on YouTube, my mouse hovering over the upload button, I just had this funny feeling that maybe I should slow down, maybe I should go a little bit deeper, maybe I should focus a little more on what's happening right now before we start getting ahead into what's going to be happening in June as things start picking up pace and things start lightening up. Yes, we are in between phases. Yes, we are moving in this direction where things are going to be picking up, looking up, speeding up. But right now we have this very interesting opportunity to see what has happened, to recollect, and to really appreciate what has gone on in the last few months. That way we can be strengthened and really have the collective faith and the understanding to really move forward into this greatly positive, reaffirming time as we move forward into Gemini and Mars turns direct and we start extroverting everything that we learned in the previous cycle. So Mars being retrograde through Libra throughout this last several months, it was a very intense, very active time these last few months. It really began in Aries time. We had a new moon in Aries followed by a lunar eclipse in Libra that was initiating this period where we have started to dive very deep into relationships, which has been this entire Mars retrograde through Libra. It has been relationships, it has been our partners, our family members, and our friends that have been the means, that have been the gateway for us accessing the deeper understanding of what it means to have relationships, of what karma is, of our stuff that prevents us from actualizing ourself, which is oftentimes tied to the conditionings and the relationships between other people. And following this lunar eclipse in Libra, we had this solar eclipse in Taurus, figuring out our own confident inner persona, which was then followed by the full moon in Scorpio, which is again, now it is us, our individual, our platform, our security, now reaching out and getting mingled and getting intertwined and getting caught up and getting quite intimate and deep with these different strings of connection between us and other people that tie our stories in with other people's lives. And indeed, this full moon in Scorpio may not have been the easiest time for many people, as I see it sort of being the digging, scraping the bottom of the barrel of this last phase that was initiated with the new moon in Aries, with this Mars retrograde, getting really deep into relationships in ourself, who our role is something that is in service to the other people. We have to know who we are through bouncing ourselves off of others. Seeing what stories we are involved with other people gives us a very great idea of who we are, where we're coming from in the past, and where we're moving in a positive direction to really get into a position that we want to be in, that's comfortable, secure, and happy, which then requires us being close, in close proximity to those that we love. That is at the core of all of this. This is at the bottom of the barrel. What lies underneath all of this, through the drama, through the challenges that came up during this past phase. So this previous full moon in Scorpio was really taking us to the depth, to the bottom, to the reality of things. It was not a very comfortable time for most people. It was exposing underlying issues. It was revealing emotions that had long been buried or ignored. And indeed, as the sun has been making its way through Taurus, and it's nearly out now, the sun has been illuminating Scorpio. So this full moon in Scorpio is when the sun was opposite to the moon, illuminating it. And for those of us who have planets in Scorpio, the sun has been opposing those planets, illuminating those planets. But everybody, irrelevant if you have planets there, we all have Scorpio nature. And the sun has been illuminating this nature for us. It has been shedding light on our shadows. It has been bringing the shadows to the surface. And this is why there could have been some emotional drama. It could have felt like a war zone at times, as these triggers on the surface were taking us into the very deep, underlaying root carnal desires and causes that lie beneath all of these emotional reactions and dramas. So where we could have been carried away with the triggers that have been on the surface, for those of us who have been conscious and really trying to dive deep within yourself to discover self-understanding and see what lies at the root of yourself, it can be a time of exposing these things, of releasing these things, of purging up these things. So I recommend us not to feel guilty about any emotional overreactions, because these reactions are actually releases. What happens during Scorpio time is we enter this sort of battlefield, the battlefield of life, of karma, where everything is messy and intimate because we all do love each other and we don't want to hurt each other, but the situation is difficult. You know, we're in relationships that are complicated. We're in relationships where people were close, intimate lovers with us in previous lives and now they're in different roles and things get complicated and things get messy. And this is the point, is it's bringing us into this deeper understanding of what we really want at the bottom of the barrel, scraping it up and digging it up and pushing up all of these unconscious feelings that we could have been carrying with us for lifetimes, that we have just shoved under life after life, suppressing these root carnal desires. And what is this root carnal desire? What is the relationship that we want with all of these people that we've known lifetime after lifetime? Is the truth that we only want to share a relationship with the person who is our particular, you know, wife or husband or girlfriend, whatever. And then there's the friends on the other hierarchy. And then usually like your family members on a different hierarchy. You know, this social, cultural construct of relationships and how we layer the importance of our relationships. Is this very accurate to real life? Well, things get very painful and tumultuous when we start evaluating things on that level, when the truth is our relationships go very, very deep with everybody, with our parents, with our lovers, with our friends. None of these things are mundane relationships. Mundane relationship is not even true. So the people who sort of act within a mundane relationship are bound to have that mundaneness be blown off. The cover is going to be blown and the underlying truth will be exposed, which is that we all want to be loved and cherished by one another, irrelevant of the technicalities of the stories of the current mundane drama. And so Scorpio has been revealing the truth which lies in our emotions, which lies in our deepest feelings. That is where the story is. That is where our depth is. And by getting into it, we see who we are. We see what our karma is. And our karma, again, is not a problem. It is a part of our individual. You know, it is a part of our hero's quest. It is us in our childhood, maturing into adults, and us being who we are today because of the things that happened to us in the past. The traumas, the joys, everything becomes a blessing, becomes a treasure, informing you who you are. And so I think this is an excellent time to remember that and to be grateful for everything in life, including the tumultuous times, to really see and acknowledge what they bring to us in terms of real treasure, the underlying depth and understanding that lies at the bottom of our feelings. We have a grand trine forming now. In fact, it's, you know, Jupiter trine Chiron's exact now. And it's a grand trine between Jupiter, Chiron, and Saturn. Jupiter and Saturn being the two big gurus of astrology, the two big teachers. And Chiron being this place of compassion, of self-sacrifice, of unconditional love. And a grand trine is a very grounded, secure, soft, subconscious, you know, not apparent, not visible and jagged-edged, soft, underlaying, subtle energy. And it's this reflective time, this time of getting into our feelings and seeing what has been blown, what has been exposed when the top has been blown off through the previous month, as we dug deep, as we initiated these changes, as old towers fell apart, as the storm blew over us and changed and transformed all these things within and without. Now we are left in the wake of the storm, and it can feel very surreal. It can feel like we've been in this battlefield and people have been getting ripped open, and then all of a sudden we're lying on the battlefield, and you can feel it. You can feel like we are down at the bottom on the battlefield floor, but now all of a sudden the clouds part, the sun shines down. People ride in white horses bringing food and water, and it can seem very unreal. Like, who am I? What just happened? I'm still alive? Is this heaven? What has happened to me? Who am I? This is a time of identity shifting. The truth is, all this sort of painful, uncomfortable changes that have gone on these previous weeks has been us evolving, has us been going through a serious growth spurt. Maybe especially certain people, those who have planets in Scorpio, those who were born in 91 and 92. This is a time of serious growth spurt. Not only do you have Pluto conjunct Uranus, you have Saturn conjunct Pluto. This is the time of identity growing up. And when we grow up in a very short amount of time, there is growing pains. It's not easy to make a tremendous amount of growth in a short amount of time, although it is certainly the best for us, because now we are stepping into a new pair of shoes, and we're going to start walking soon. But that being said, I wanted to reshoot this video, that way we can be calm and we can reflect and we can go inside. This is a time to meditate, this is time to go inside, this is time to see that very interesting point in between the inhale and the exhale. This very surreal in-between worlds, in between Taurus and Gemini. Yes, this Wednesday we have the 4th quarter square moon, that's the half moon. And it's interesting because it's happening right as the sun enters Gemini and the moon enters Pisces. So we have these two mutable, very Joker-like, spiritual, magician-like signs of the zodiac, Pisces and Gemini. And now they're playing with us and they're revealing the joke, the trick, what lies on the other end of the devastation, what lies on the other end of the most severe traumas, the most devastating collapses of towers. Is it really the end of the world? Is it really the end of us? Is it really bad? Is it really punishment? Is this all punishment? And Gemini and Pisces, particularly, now that we're moving into this Joker of Gemini time, it can be really revealed to us how sometimes we can get so absorbed in the moment of the action of the drama that we totally lose perspective of the greater picture. We lose perspective of the dance where we go up and down, and we go into heaven and we go into hell. And indeed, the deeper we got into hell, the more we scraped the bottom of the barrel and we pulled up those unconscious emotions and we saw how deep they went. And we saw how intimately connected to other people in our life they are. Well, that is going to take us into how high we move into this next month, which is we are moving up and out. And what it is we are moving into the sign of Gemini, which is the sign of friends and neighbors and consciousness. What happens after you experience being diagnosed with a terminal illness? All of a sudden there's this shift, there's this collapsing of old ideas, there's this collapsing of old identity, as we suddenly realize that maybe it's not so important that we focus on our 9-to-5 job and our paychecks. It sort of brings to light and gives us a newfound appreciation and respect for what we have. And suddenly we have a consciousness shift, a perspective shift from being focused on some of the things that actually weren't in service to us living the most fulfilling life. And now we can gain a new appreciation for what we have, for what is already there that maybe previously we had been taking for granted. Because after being diagnosed with a serious illness, and you realize that we have a limited time, and we see how serious it can be out there on the battlefield and how real things get in reality when we have a temporary time with our relationships, we can really start to see how important these relationships are, how meaningful it is to be close with those that love us, to make sure that we're pulling everybody in together. And this is where we're going to be moving in the future. We're going to start moving outward, we're going to start doing more. But the reason we're doing this is because we have found and re-enlivened, a part of ourself now that is dedicated to a deeper aspect of reality. We want to touch other people's lives. We want to improve each other's lives. We want everybody to be happy. We want everybody to share in their joys. We don't want anybody to be discluded. We really don't want anybody to be discluded. Sometimes it takes a little bit of fighting. It takes a little bit of stabbing each other to remember how much we care about each other. You know, it's like you can be angry at somebody for so long because they're being bitter and they're being closed off. But what happens when we start bumping into each other and then finally somebody gets ripped open, somebody does their Chiron, Chiron sharp. Yes, it is the planetary body of unconditional love, self-sacrifice, selflessness, compassion, and it is sharp. We learn this selflessness, this compassion, this love through being opened up here. And what happens when we open up here is we see that we don't care about our minds, our egos, our roles, the little mundane, you know, oh, I just want respect, oh, I don't want you to step on my shoelaces, you know, blah, blah, blah. Those things don't matter when all of a sudden it snowballs into something that loses perspective to the truth that we actually care about each other. So if somebody's closed off and you're angry at them because they're closed off, and you don't like it, and you don't want them to be closed off, and you just want your old friend back, and then blah, 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 and they are feeling angry at you because you did this disrespectful thing, and then there's this tumultuousness, there's this karma, there's this drama, there's this energy, there's this conflict, and then there is a breaking point. Something rips open, and somebody breaks down, and suddenly there are tears there, and there are emotions that start springing forth, and what happens is the entire air changes, the energy changes. You're no longer mad at that person because they're not blocked off anymore, they're opened up, and they're crying, and they're releasing, and they're revealing their inner sentiments, and the love is revealed, that we truly care about each other. Our feelings are hurt because we care about each other, we loved each other the entire time. So this drama is in the service to love. This drama and this pain and this tumultuousness and this so-called separation is in the service of union. It is there for us to appreciate what we have. So this is a period for us to reflect. This is a period for us to get really deep, to do our meditation, to really figure out what it is that we are here to do and to be. And this is Mars turning direct. We are here to do. We are here to act. We are here to broadcast what we have learned. We are now here to turn in, to discover this depth. That is this grand trine. It is the return of the goddesses. Yes? These are the mothers. We are here to take care and love each other. And yes, we are doing this in a situation, in a world situation where there are so many people in pain. We require being mothers right now. All of us, man and woman, it is now our turn to be active, involved, motherly forces in the world. That way we can repair, we can nurture, we can remind each other of what the underlying depth, the root cause of all of these things, of all this drama, of all this tumultuous, is that we just want to love each other. We do want to be in close proximity with those that we love. And we don't want there to be the stupid mundane conditionings and blockages that keep people closed off to each other. We don't want that anymore. We want to be active influences that is working against that, that is moving us towards an era in humanity where we are all family, where we all love each other, where we can be open and not shut down and bitter all the time. Because the truth is, we're just shut down and bitter because we think we have been abandoned by our mothers. So now it's time for us to be the mothers and remind each other that no one has been abandoned. Yes, we can all fix ourselves, and we can make an extremely positive move right now in a direction that is going to be reconnecting with everybody and bringing it all together, reminding each other of the magic. And that's what's coming up in the weeks ahead, including the new moon next week in Gemini, which I'll be talking to you next week. So I can take a look at you, at your chart, see what's going on with you personally. We can look at these moon cycles to see what's been going on through this pretty tremendous time. So this is really an opportunity to be getting deep, discovering your inner compassion, your inner desires, your inner influence to make a positive change for yourself and your beloveds. And I'm wishing you the very best in this respect. Much love. Namaste.